So it's a pry bar. So what you do, this is number 2 main bearing cap. Just pry a little bit on the side to loosen it. Trying to hold the camera while I show you this at the same time. Because you see there's inside that main bearing cap, there's a tang it fits up into. If you look up in here, see there's a little bit of a ledge that fits up in there, and also the cap has a number on it. That's number 2, and when you're facing it from the bottom here, the number 2 looks at just like if you was to write the number 2, so you know that that's the front part of the bearing cap, that's the rear part of the bearing cap. And then of course here's the bearing insert right there, and then on the top there's a tang on one side which fits it so it doesn't roll, and then the other side doesn't have, and the other side doesn't have. You just push it a little bit, and then usually if you can get enough room you can do that. If not, you can roll it. And for me, it's going to be hard because I'm all holding the camera. You can roll this direction there, but I'm going to have to. I'm not sure if I think I'm on it. Take the wrench right here, put it on the front of the harmonic balancer where the bolt's in the front of the crank, so you can hold this like that, and then roll that a little bit. Each time you can hold that with a screwdriver. You can ouch! Each time you can grab a piece and turn the crank and just little hole you can bring it on around. And drop the bearing down, bearing insert. This actual bearing comes out of the top of the journal for bearing cap. This is called in-frame overhaul. So 4-cylinder, little Toyota 2.2, because I really don't have any place to take the engine out. So when you work on heavy trucks and heavy equipment, a lot of times it's how you overhaul them, you in-frame overhaul them. So that's how I'm doing this car. It's the most expedient way I can get it back on the road again. So of course, get your hands all dirty, wear gloves, and a lot of times I don't have gloves on. Eventually I have to clean this oil pan up, the mating surface. I have a gasket instead of rubber, so I'm going to put a gasket up in here. It has the starter or bolt there, or bolt over here. Of course, the stud on each side of the bottom of the block right here. This right here is for the engine balancer, and how that works is engine balancer counterbalances the crank for, I guess, for vibrations, because they build up torsional vibrations from running. So engine balancer bolts up to the bottom, but there's other videos for that stuff. I'm just trying to show you a cool little technique that I learned over the years to make life easy. This is my main car here. I have another one I want to do some engine work too also. You know, wipe my hands. Damn it. It's cat over there. Okay, that bearing cap, that bearing right there goes on the top of the crank from this engine position. Put the groove in there. I have some Molly UT grease, more aluminum. This is a good lubricant. They make other stuff you can buy, you know. It's nothing I have practical that's utilized because of the fact that I can use the Lucas sticky tack engine lube stuff, but this here works a lot better for that without getting sticky tack lube all over myself. And to be at the bottom of the ground here, I'm working on trying to keep my concrete as dry as I can. I have some simple green to spray the grease and oil stuff off when I get done. It'll saturate the cement and remove the oil stains, which I've gotten very little. And bottom, and that's the top. This is the bottom one right here. The bearing's really in good shape. Just gonna clean it up a little bit. Biggest thing is make sure you get the main bearing cap put back on the same direction it needs to go, just by following the numbers, because from the front of the engine block to the back, the numbers will look face forward facing as you look underneath the engine, just like you would read it in English language, the number, because they're made to fit a certain way in both bearing blocks. They fit in there and indents lock each other in place. So as you can see, there's the indent right there it fits into, and the main bearing cap. There's my grease in there. That's just to keep it lubricated until I start the engine and it starts lubricating the oil naturally. Just for startup and so I don't dry run the main bearing cap and damage it before I get it installed. Let's roll this. Bearing up in there, and you just follow the indent. The indent's on this side, so when I roll it around, I look at it like this, you know. So there's the indent there, and just go place it in there and then roll it around. And I need my little screwdriver for that. There we go. So you gotta pull it down just a little bit to get it into the hole right there. And then, of course, you know, you find expansion as you go. It's just springy, so you don't have to really torque on it a lot. What you can do is roll the engine. On this car, for the harmonic balancer bolt, it's a 19mm. I'm just going to roll the crank in the direction of the engine while I roll the bearing. It'll help it roll it, so I don't have to fight it and damage the bearing. And I try to go where the indent is, because that locks into the groove for it, and that way I don't really damage the bearing, even though I'm using a hard metal screwdriver. Now, I'm no way trying to tell you how to do your mechanical repairs. You do them as you want. This is how I do them. And what I do is I get the bolts in here, I snug them down, make sure I get them both going. Because you need to get that bearing cap up in that retainer groove, retainer slot, excuse me. And it'll seat itself as long as you don't cock it. So I finger tighten them, that's how I keep them from getting it cockeyed in there, and it allows it to seat itself properly. As soon as I get them both snug bottomed out, then I use my wrench and I snug them down. After I get them all snugged down, when I get through doing my bearings, then I'll go ahead and torque it to the specs. And I try to vary front to back instead of just, you know, starting from the back and working forward. I started with the thrust bearing because thrust bearing is the most difficult, only because you have the thrust washers on each side of the upper and lower caps. So I start from there and I work myself from back to front. You know, it's kind of like if you used to do a crisscross pattern when you do your torque on your head or so forth. Keep going back and forth so it feels like the bottom is out properly, and then I just snug it just a little bit because the final tightening is going to be torqued to the proper torque. Okay, I've done the thrust washers number 3 on this particular engine. This is like I say 2.2 liter Toyota for this 99 Toyota Camry, and number 3 is the thrust bearing. And I went to the back, you know, do number 2, and now I'll do number 4, and then I'll do number 1. That's just how I'm doing it. I just vary it back and forth because I'm just snugging these down when I put the mains up in the main, other than the front harmonic balancer seal and the rear main bearing seal are the only 2 points where the crank's going to be held in place. So I'm trying to not tweak the crankshaft by accident, you know, one way or the other. I mean, it's kind of hard to damage it, but you know, it's just a matter of patience and foresight, and maintaining a level of professionalism as far as doing your job. You know, as best you can, you know, keep the dirt out. You know, when you do it this way, it's a little different in a shop. You know, I don't have access to a lot of indoor shop practice activities I can't do, so I can't, you know, turn the block upside down and put it on the engine stand and all that good stuff. So this is the engine stand right on the engine of the car, the motor mounts. So that's it. Rest of the operation's the same way.